So today I'd like to talk about how we connect with ourselves. How do we bridge the gap between what we've taken ourselves to be and what we really are in truth, our highest aspect. And for everyone, this will be different. We all have our own unique ways of connecting to what I'm going to call the higher self. We could say our soul aspect, the part of us that remembers that we are one with wholeness, that we are one with God, that aspect of ourself that has never forgotten that we are one and that we are whole. We call it the higher self for short form. HS, higher self, Holy Spirit, the memory of God. So how do we connect to that aspect of ourself? Oftentimes, it just requires a small amount of willingness to turn inward and connect to our present moment experience. The aspect of ourself that is always present and is always right here. One of the biggest things you'll notice is that the conditioned mind is conditioned to distract into past, into future, into media, any form of entertainment, which isn't really entertainment. It's totally empty of content, but it's just food for the ego, basically, stuff for it to sort of chew on and have attractions and aversions to get its drama fix going, to plug into the collective hive mind of conflict and fear, basically, and we call that entertainment. The news, movies, media, a lot of it's going to be preying on some sense of lack within us to draw the mind towards its apparent possible fulfillment in externalized appearances like TV shows, movies, YouTube. A lot of it uses our unfulfilled desires and with this illusory promise of potential fulfillment. And this will just draw the mind into this field of distraction over and over again. It's all looping, it's all repeating, and the tendency there is you'll know it by its fruits. Its fruit is that if you just keep going with it, you feel more and more detached from yourself, more and more lack of fulfillment, which is the opposite of what it feels like to actually connect with yourself, to actually turn into this moment and open to what's here. Of course, when we first start turning in, there's a lot of unprocessed energy in the nervous system that requires attention, basically. It's all the stuff that we've been ignoring through distraction. So it can seem to get worse at first when we first stop. The addiction alarms will be going. Need to feed this addiction, need to keep it going. Don't stop, need to feed. But the thing is that as we face that stuff, we actually begin to resolve it in the nervous system. Change of state, more relaxation, more ease, more connection to our own inner knowing, more presence. And this presence is actually the only thing that has the potential to fulfill our unmet desires It's the only thing that we actually need. We need to be known within ourselves, to be known by God, to be known as the truth of this moment. And this is nourishment in the deepest sense, the thing that distraction can never ever give us. And then we feel more present, more ourself, more grounded, more rooted, more okay, just okay, and we become a resource for ourselves. We realize that we resource ourselves through this multi-dimensional awareness of ourself. This higher self knows God and is with God, and this higher self lives here in me and is the expression of this body mind. Then this body mind doesn't have to go looking for some fix outside of itself like an addict. I mean, we're all addicts of experiencing more experience, more drama, something else, what's next. And this is what we face when we stop, is this addiction to next, this addiction to what else, this addiction to the story, like what's my purpose, what am I here for, all of this stuff. What have I accomplished? What have you accomplished? Comparison. But there's really just nothing there. There's nothing to get there. It's all here. It's all now. It's all in this moment. And the way that I really do experience higher self is through the upper chakras, up through the crown, and this feeling of fullness above, and this reception, almost like information coming down in through the crown of the head. And this is it. It's like I'm communicating with myself, with the higher aspect of myself. And it feels very pleasant. It's like receiving downloads of wisdom, but it's not in words. It's just in a flow of knowing, a flow of subtle vibration coming down into the nervous system and actually feeding the laws of nature that create this appearance of a body and this appearance of a mind. And you start to find that feeding the body and mind from the world and from the senses is actually dulling of the vehicle, because it's all very conflictory vibrations in this domain of right and wrong, good and bad, those who have, those who don't have, and all of these positionalities of conflict. And it just jars. It tends to jar the nervous system. Lost contact here. Yes, it tends to jar the nervous system. It jangles the senses. Whereas when we connect to our higher self, we're connecting to the subtler vibration that we all share. It's the higher self of me and the higher self of you are maybe subtly differentiated, but they merge into wholeness, meaning oneness, meaning where we're the same. So it's the same intelligence in all of us operating. And there, that subtler vibration is not in conflict with itself. It's whole, it's one. And it brings context to everything we see. Because then what we see no longer refers to separation, but actually refers to wholeness. Because we see that it's all coming from the same source, the same subtle vibration. And when we're being resourced from there, we're actually feeding the subtlest laws of nature, the subtle expressions that shine forth as this physicality. Because this physicality doesn't operate in separation from everything else. It is an expression of subtler and subtler laws of nature right back to the quantum field. right back to the void, to the emptiness. So we are an expression of emptiness in form. And when we're allowing form to all be referenced to that emptiness, then all of our experience is refining the nervous system, and it's refining the intelligence that's operating in and as us, in and as I, the I am intelligence. And this feels good. It feels uplifting. It feels healthy. It feels pure. And it's fulfilling in itself. Fullness is fulfilling itself through this experiencing, as long as we're not believing in the separation, because separation cannot fulfill itself, and no additive of more separate experiences can ever fulfill what has taken itself to be fundamentally separate, because the only thing that can fulfill the sense of separation is to see through and transcend the sense of separation, because that brokenness, that shard of separate selfness, it is longing for its completion in wholeness. And why does it hurt so bad? Because we actually do remember that we are whole and complete, and that is your higher self, that part that already knows, it already remembers. And that's why it hurts so bad to pretend that we're not whole, to pretend that we're pitiful, weak, stuck victims trying to scrabble around in a material world to get our needs met. It doesn't work. It doesn't feel true even, because our deepest intuition knows that we've never been separate. And this is where the fulfillment is. This is the higher self. The higher self sounds complicated, but it's just a symbolic way of speaking about the wholeness that we are and how that wholeness communicates to a character, to a seeming character. And you can feel how simple it is, right? You know in your deepest sense, I am whole and I am connected, and I do know what I am, that what I am is good, that I'm not this separate entity struggling for survival that needs to compromise and make everything difficult and feed on drama. No, that's not what we are. So we're just remembering together. We're remembering, and then we can operate from this beautiful, subtle, vibratory field where we already are one. And it will be challenged over and over again by any place where our mind has become loyal to the belief in separation through the vibration of fear. So don't judge yourself for the difficulty, but just keep coming back to the remembering, the memory of the higher self, and allowing it to live in and as this body, this vehicle. Thank you. And such a joy to share with you in this way. Thank you.